Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
On a lonely beach 50 miles from Metropolis, Superman waged a titanic battle with Henry Miller, the Atom Man, a human monster in whose bloodstream flows the deadly kryptonite, enabling him to generate terrific atomic power. Finally, Superman was conquered and lay motionless on the sand. Drunk with power, Miller destroyed the Teufel, the half-mad German scientist who had made him the Atom Man. Then, certain that Superman was dead, Miller buried him in a deep hole on the beach and left for Metropolis to make further use of his incredible atomic power. As we continue now, Jimmy Olsen, having escaped from a henchman of Teufel's, has arrived at the ravaged, blasted beach with Sheriff Simpson and a deputy. Unaware that Superman lies almost beneath his feet, Jimmy stands by as the sheriff and his deputy bend over the charred body of the Teufel.
Appears to me this man was struck by lightning. Wouldn't you say so, Fred?
It ain't nothing else, Ferv. Must have been one awful freak storm that hit here, too. There were the big craters in the beach, and them trees down the woods. You notice how they're split and blackened clear through?
Yeah. Olsen,
Yes, Sheriff?
take another look at this fella. You still think he's that Nazi Teufel?
Oh, I'm sure of it. Especially now he hasn't got his phony wig and mustache.
Well, I called Inspector Henderson. He'll be out here pretty soon, he'll know. Now, what about those other two men you said you saw here?
Must have been more than two, Sheriff, judging by all these tracks in the sand.
There were only two, besides Teufel, I mean. One was Henry Miller, our new reporter. He was the one who was shooting the green sparks out of his hands.
Green sparks?
Yeah, they were like little bolts of lightning, and they were coming right out of his hand.
What the...
Hold it, Fred. Go on, Olsen.
Well, Miller was shooting these sparks at a man in the sand. It was right about here, at the edge of the woods. It made the whole beach and forest shake. At first, before I saw what it was, I thought it was an earthquake.
Great Jehoshaphat.
Great fiddlesticks. Olsen must have seen the tail end of the lightning storm. Some of the boats probably hit behind Miller, and Olsen thought they were coming out of his hands.
They were, and there wasn't any storm.
Don't talk foolish, son. Only lightning could split these big trees down the middle and scorch them that way, and blast these big holes in the beach.
But I tell you...
Never mind. I told you what happened. Now, what about this man you say was lying on the sand? You, sure it wasn't this one? Fellow you claimed Teufel?
No, Teufel was standing behind Miller. I don't know who the other man was. He was lying on his stomach.
Was he a big fella? Big or small?
He was pretty big, I think. He was all hunched up. I can't be sure. He had on a red sweater or jacket or something. I think he was dead. But Miller kept shooting those sparks at him.
If he was dead, where is he?
That's what I was going to ask.
Gosh, how do I know? I got scared and ran back through the woods to get help. Maybe Miller buried him.
Why would he bury him, not Teufel? I think...
Uh-oh.
What do you got there, Fred?
I think it's a gun, a .32.
Oh, see it.
Here. I saw part of the barrel sticking up out of the sand.
Yeah. 4 shots fired from it. And not very long ago, either. You can still smell powder.
Maybe that's what Olsen saw. The sparks, I mean. Miller might have been shooting the guy on the ground.
No, I tell you...
Could be. Come on. Do a little digging where you found the gun, Fred. I'd be that Olsen's right. Miller buried the fella.
Okay. It's right here.
Yeah, start digging. You look around, Olsen. Might be you'll find something else.
Okay.
Don't seem like nothing's buried here, Sheriff.
Well, go down a bit more. Wait. Hey, what's this?
What?
This little piece of cloth, see? It's red.
Uh-huh, but what...
Olsen said the fellow was wearing something red, a sweater, a jacket or something.
Well, that piece of cloth didn't come out of a sweater or a jacket. It's too silky.
Yeah, it might have come out of a muffler, though. Olsen said it might have been a muffler he saw. Yeah, look here. Darkened. Scorched like.
Might be powder burns, huh? From the gun?
Yeah, maybe. Come on, dig some more.
All right. Nothing yet.
Yeah, keep going. Found the gun here, a piece of cloth.
Hey, Sheriff! Sheriff!
Wait, Fred. What is it, son?
Come on over here. I found something.
Okay.
Where is he?
There at the edge of the woods.
Oh, yeah. What'd you find, Olsen?
Come over here and see.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch it.
Maybe he found the other dead guy.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Okay. What is it, Olsen?
There. See? On the ground.
What? Well, shucks, I thought...
Hey, look, Fred, look. There's another piece of red cloth.
Sure enough.
That's what I wanted to show you.
Yeah, looks just like the piece we found back there. Yep. Scored and dark in the same way, too.
Any blood on it?
Nope. Don't get it.
Well, maybe Miller dragged the man into the woods here and buried him. And the piece of red cloth could have come from the man's clothes. Remember I told you he was wearing something red?
Say, that might be it, Sheriff. The ground looks fresh turned over, too. Maybe if we dig right
the
here...
ground looks fresh turned over. That's from the trees getting uprooted in lightning storm.
But if we dig right here where I found the knife...
We can't go digging up the whole beach and woods. Tell you what to do, Fred. You and Olson take my car and drive to Linwood. Find Doc Akers and bring him out here and look over the body. By the time you fetch him, Inspector Henderson ought to be here, and then...
I'll wait for the inspector. No. Gosh, I gotta call the Planet and tell him what happened to Teufel. This is a big scoop.
I don't want any newspaper stories till Inspector Henderson says it is Teufel. I want you to go to State Police Headquarters with Fred, Olson.
Oh, but
You heard me? You give State Headquarters a description of Miller and the car he was driving, so they can get an alarm out for
But
him.
I tell you...
Will you stop arguing? Miller maybe killed somebody. And if that's really Teufel, like you say...
Oh, it's Teufel, all right.
Well, then, if Miller was working with him, Miller's a Nazi, too. Maybe a murderer. We gotta find him. Now get going, both of you.
Okay, Sheriff. Come on, Olson.
I'm coming. Boy, they better get Miller. I tell you, there were green sparks shooting out of his hands and shaking the ground. Golly, I wish I knew where to find Superman. He'd make short work of Mr. Henry Miller.
Unaware that he himself prevented Sheriff Simpson and his deputy from finding Superman by calling them away just when their probing hands were a few scant inches above the buried man of steel, Jimmy follows the deputy to the sheriff's car. What will happen next? It is just before sunset on the lonely, ravaged beach where Superman and the Atom Man fought their Herculean battle. Teufel's body has been removed. Inspector Henderson and state police officers have visited the scene, made photographs, measured footprints, and departed. Now all is silent, save for the low murmur of the wind and the lapping of the outgoing tide. But suddenly the silence is broken as two men dressed in hunting clothes and carrying shotguns come through the fringe of the woods toward the beach. A black and white water spaniel roaming in the brush suddenly springs out on the sand and, plumed tail aloft, rushes off the beach, barking.
Listen to that crazy animal. Can't wait for us to knock a couple of crackers down so we can go fetch him.
I can't wait either. I haven't had a decent shot yet this season.
We ought to get plenty of shots for the next half hour. We got 3 mallards and a pintail on this beach yesterday, and the wind's better today.
I hope you're right. All I wanted... Hey, Joe. Look.
Holy smokes. What happened to the beach?
I don't know. It sure is torn up like it was bombed.
Yeah. Look at those trees up ahead. They're all down.
Must have been a hurricane.
We'd have heard about it. Probably a freak electrical storm. See how that big oak is split right down the middle?
Yeah. And it's scorched. Oh, you're right. Only lightning could do that.
Boy, glad I wasn't around.
Me too. Hey, look at that hole. Wow, it must be 10 feet deep.
I see it. Uh-oh. I see something better. Flight of mallards coming in straight ahead. Hold it, Mark. Don't move.
Right? Where's the dog?
Don't worry about him. He knows his business. Well, how do you like that? Barking his fool head off and scaring the ducks away. Biff! Come here! Biff, come here!
He's digging in the sand.
I'll teach him. Come on. He knows better than that. Biff, come here! Come here, boy!
He must have found something. Look how deep he is already. I can just see his tail.
Yeah, that fool dog. And after all the years he's been hunting, digging up a dead fish and barking his head off with ducks overhead. It's gonna hear from me. Biff! Stop that digging! Stop it, I said! Biff! Stop that digging!
Enraged, the duck hunter strides along the beach, approaching the deep hole his excited dog is digging in the soft sand, determined to pull him away and reprimand him for having spoiled a perfect shot. If he does, the body of Superman, buried deep in the sand at the very spot, will never be discovered. For even now the tide is rising, and as the sun sets, the water will roll up and cover the beach. Or does it matter? Can Superman, bombarded by livid bolts of atomic energy, and buried now for almost an hour, still be alive? We'll know tomorrow. But shortly before sunset, as Superman lay buried beneath the sand, 2 duck hunters, Joe Nelson and Mart Andrews, came up the beach. Suddenly, Nelson's hunting dog, a water spaniel, began to bark and dig furiously, spoiling a perfect shot for the 2 hunters. Annoyed, Nelson hurried to where the animal had already hollowed out a sizable hole.
You bet! Come out of that hole! Come out, I say!
Wonder what he found down there.
Dead fish or a sand crab or something. You hear me, Biff? Come out of there! All right, if you won't, I'll haul you out. Aren't you ashamed? ashamed of yourself? A pedigreed hunting dog digging for dead fish. Come on now.
He sure doesn't want to come out of there.
I don't know what's come over him. Biff, cut it out. Stop that noise. How do you expect any ducks to show up with you barking your fool head off?
Here, look at him. He wants to dig some more.
I'll dig him. Biff, stop it. Stop it, I said.
What the? Hey, Joe. Wait.
Huh? What's the matter?
Come here.
What is it?
Look down there, where the dog was digging.
Shut up, Biff.
Where, Mark?
At the bottom of the hole, sticking out of the sand. You see?
Holy smokes. Looks like a man's foot.
That's what it is. Somebody's buried down there.
Jupiter. Well, that's why Biff... Come on, Mark. We gotta see about this. Help me get the sand off.
Get away from here, Biff. Get away, I said. Go on.
I can't understand how anybody'd be buried here on the beach.
The tide might have washed him up.
Yeah, maybe, but... I don't like this, Joe.
I don't either.
Hey, he's dead as a doornail, Joe.
What'd you expect, buried under the sand? Poor guy. Wonder who he is.
Beachcomber, maybe. Say, that's funny. His clothes are ripped to pieces. You can't even make out what they are. I don't see any marks on him.
I don't either. Well, that is funny.
What do you suppose happened to him?
Search me. He wasn't drowned, you can tell that. You know, come to think of it, he must have been struck by that lightning.
Lightning?
Sure, the lightning storm that knocked down all those trees and tore up the beach. Big bolt must have hit him, dug a hole in the beach, and buried him. Look at his clothes, or what's left of them. See how charred they are?
If it was lightning that burned and tore his clothes up that way, he'd be burned too.
Oh, that's right. Well, no use worrying about...
Hey, what was that?
What was what?
I heard a low moan. Didn't you hear it?
No. Oh, maybe you heard Biff up the beach.
Biff's way up the beach. There it is again. Holy smoke, Joe. This fella's alive.
How could he be buried under the sand?
Wait a minute. See if I can hear his heart.
Well, you felt his heart before.
I just put my hand over it. I was sure he was dead. Quiet now.
Hear anything?
Not yet. Wait. Yeah, it's beating all right.
It is.
Yeah, I can hardly hear it, but it's beating all right. We've got to get him to a doctor fast. Take his legs, Joe.
Okay. Oh, no. No, wait. We better not move him. He might be hurt inside. Now, I'll tell you what. I'll drive to Sam Tyler's and call the hospital at Linwood. Send out an ambulance.
But his heart's weak. He may go any minute.
Getting the ambulance here will be better than us carrying him to the car and then giving him a bumpy ride. The ambulance could come in on the beach road. I'll make it as fast as I can, Mark. Come on.
Leaving his hunting companion with the still figure of Superman, Joe Nelson rushes away to his car. Within an hour, an ambulance roars up the beach road, and two attendants bearing a stretcher hurry across the dark sands. A short time later, in a room in the Linwood Hospital, Superman lies in a bed, his eyes closed, scarcely seeming to breathe. Leaving an intern and nurses with him, Dr. Bruce, chief of staff, steps into the corridor where Sheriff Simpson awaits him.
How is he, Doc?
Hello, Sheriff. Still in a coma.
What are his chances?
Frankly, not too good. Our only hope is that he'll respond to a blood transfusion. We're getting him ready now. By the way, his people ought to be notified. You able to find any identification in his clothes?
Call them clothes? Weren't no more than burnt rags. Fall to ashes if you touch 'em. If you had any papers on 'em, they're ashes too. Hey, Doc, you figure he was struck by lightning?
I never heard of a man struck by lightning who didn't show a mark of it on his body.
Me neither. His clothes all ripped to pieces and burned. How could that happen without there being a mark on him?
I don't know, Sheriff. This is a very puzzling case.
You said it. Sure hope you can pull the poor fellow through, Doc. Chances are he's the one young Olson saw on the beach with them two Nazis.
Nazis? What Nazis?
Ain't in the papers yet, but one of them was Teufel, a Nazi scientist. He was killed by lightning, no doubt about that. The other one, Henry Miller, got away. This fellow might be able to tell us what Teufel and Miller were up to, where Miller went.
Well, I'll certainly do all I can, Sheriff, but...
Dr. Bruce.
Ready for me, Snyder?
No, sir. Please come here, sir. Something happened. I can't understand it.
What's the trouble?
His skin, I can't puncture it.
What?
Yes, sir. I broke 2 needles. His skin is impenetrable.
What's that mean, Doc?
I'll have to see. Hey, you can come in, Sheriff.
I remember reading of a case of a man struck by lightning.
Never mind, Snyder. Get an injection needle, please.
Yes, sir.
Looks dead to me, Doc.
Still alive.
Here you are, sir.
Thanks. Step back, please, Sheriff. Now, swab his arm, Snyder.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that'll do. Now, let's see about this. Good heavens.
Huh. Needle broke.
You see, sir, it's amazing, but I once read about...
Never mind about your reading, Snyder. Get me a scalpel.
Yes, sir.
Listen, Doc.
Step back, please, Sheriff.
Okay, I just wanted to know...
Here you are, sir.
Let me see. Great heavens, you're right, Snyder. This man's skin is impenetrable.
I told you, sir. The lightning must have petrified his skin. I read of a case like that.
So have I, but I never believed it.
Well, what goes on, Doc?
Well, something occurred, perhaps the lightning, as Snyder suggests, which has made this man's skin impenetrable. That means, unfortunately...
Yeah? What does it mean?
It means we can't give him blood plasma. We can't do anything for this poor chap now. He's doomed.
Superman doomed. And strangely enough, by one of his own superhuman powers. And while he lies helpless, given up for lost, his deadly foe, the Atom Man, has arrived in Metropolis. As Superman was brought to the Linwood Hospital, Henry Miller, the Nazi Atom Man who had defeated and left him for dead, arrived in Metropolis. Now, just before 11 o'clock at night, his hat pulled low over his face and his coat collar muffling his chin, he is riding an express elevator to the observation tower of the Metropolis Bank Building, the highest point in the city, 105 lofty stories above the street. Except for the Atom Man and the uniformed operator, the elevator is empty.
You won't get much for your 50 cents tonight, mister. The tower closes in 5 minutes at 11 o'clock.
5 minutes will be enough for my purposes.
Well, you can't really get the view in that short time, from all sides of the tower, that is. Besides, it's pretty cloudy tonight.
I don't mind clouds.
Okay, mister, it's up to you. Here we are. Looks like you got the whole place to yourself.
That's okay. I won't be lonesome.
I'll be up for you in 5 minutes when the tower closes.
Fine. That's all the time I'll need.
I don't get it, but okay.
Walking out the deserted observation tower, 105 stories above the streets, Henry Miller casts a quick look around him, makes certain he is alone, then reaches into his pocket and withdraws his meshed metal gloves and electronic throat converter. Quickly, he straps the converter to his throat, tight against his jugular vein, then pulls on his metal gloves. Now he is the deadly Atom Man. He stops at the chest-high brick wall which surrounds the tower, peering down through the cloudy night at the broken pattern of lights and darkness below him, where the citizens of Metropolis work and sleep peacefully, unaware of the destruction threatening them.
First Metropolis, then the rest of the world. I will leave only this building standing. The rest I will turn to less than dust.
For a moment longer, the Atom Man looks down on the great city beneath him. Then his right hand moves to the switch on the converter at his throat, the switch that will send the impulse to the kryptonite atoms in his blood and force them surging in a terrible stream of atomic power through his metal-gloved fingers. What can save Metropolis now? Jimmy Olsen, Perry White, Lois Lane, and all the other innocent millions. Superman lies scarcely breathing in a hospital 50 miles away. Never was a moment more tense.
Now is the time. I will destroy part of Metropolis, then the rest of the world will surrender to me, and Germany will rise from her ashes, and I shall be her savior. In a moment, Metropolis, you'll be dust. Only this one building will remain of all your glory.
Throwing the switch, the Atom Man raises his curiously gloved hands, stretches them beyond the chest-high wall which surrounds the dark tower. He waits for the atomic energy to build and surge in his blood. For the first blinding white-hot flash, the avalanche of jagged green sparks, the forked lightning that leaps from his fingers. He waits 1 moment, 2, and then the first whining crackle of the deadly atomic power begins.
Here it comes. What's wrong? Where is the lightning?
Suddenly, the deadly crackling hisses and sputters out, and a look of alarm crosses the Atom Man's face. His hand flies to the switch on the throat converter, turns it again. Still, there is no flashing explosion, no snake-like green lightning. Frantically, the Atom Man turns the switch again and again, seeking for his terrible power. But he hears only the empty, futile click of the switch. And then even the radioactive hum of the kryptonite in his blood fades away. He rages, and then he gasps and pales as he remembers the warning of the brilliant, half-mad scientist who had transformed him into a human monster.
The Teufel. He said my atomic power would diminish. He said the kryptonite in my blood could be exhausted. I've got to find the Scarlet Widow. She has more kryptonite. Oh, but how? I don't know her. I don't know where she is. Wait, before I left Germany, Teufel told me something. What was it? I remember. He said there was an address stitched in one of my gloves.
Someone's coming out here.
11 o'clock, mister. Gotta close the tower now, hey.
Oh, it's the elevator operator. Got to get the conveyor and gloves off before he sees them. Okay, I'll be right with you. There, into my pocket with him. Sorry to have kept you waiting.
Oh, that's all right. I just have to see that everyone's off of the tower at 11 o'clock. Those are the rules.
I understand.
Yeah, I'll take you down, huh? Hey, you couldn't see much tonight, could you, hey?
I didn't see what I wanted to, but I will the next time.
Descending to the building lobby, the slim, blond atom man leaves the car and walks rapidly to the street, his hat pulled low over his eyes, his coat collar muffling his chin. In the shadow of a doorway, he carefully examines his metal gloves, nods with satisfaction, then hails a taxi and is driven to a handsome apartment building in an exclusive residential section facing the park. In the foyer of a 9th-floor apartment, he gives one of his gloves to a short, slant-eyed manservant in neat dark clothes, who disappears with it, then returns to conduct Miller into a luxuriously furnished drawing room. There, reclining on a divan, with a box of chocolates at his elbow, is a grotesquely fat man in a flowered silk dressing gown. Small, almost babyish features are set in a vast, pale, moonlight face, topped with thin, silky pink hair. As he listens, his pudgy hands constantly conduct chocolates to his tiny mouth. But as the atom man nears the end of his story, the fat man, who is known only as Sidney, pauses with a candy halfway to his lips, and his sleepy little eyes sparkle like cold blue diamonds.
Superman dead, eh? I can't believe it.
It's true.
Superman dead. My boy, if that's...
Will you stop saying if? I tell you I killed him.
Gently, Miller, gently. I'm accustomed to surprises, but this is the most amazing thing I ever heard. Amazing. All of us, were certain he could never be destroyed. We tried everything.
Well, we can forget about Superman now. I need more kryptonite, and you've got to get it for me, Sidney.
Where does one get kryptonite?
A woman called the Scarlet Widow has it.
The Scarlet Widow?
Yes, do you know her?
Who doesn't know the Scarlet Widow? She's the cleverest woman in the world, and the most dangerous.
I don't care about that. You know where she is?
I can find out, if necessary, but you told me that Teufel had to go to your father in Germany to have the stuff dissolved. No other chemist could do it. But now your father's dead.
I helped my father when he was working on the problem. I remember the formula for dissolving it. Of course, we'll need a good chemist.
Securing the chemist won't be too difficult. But dealing with the Scarlet Widow's another matter. Very expensive.
So what? You must have plenty of money.
No man ever has enough money. And I love money more than anything in the world. Are you sure you won't have a chocolate? These are really delicious.
I said I don't want any. Look, Sidney, you don't seem to understand. Once I'm the Atom Man again, I can destroy Metropolis, London, Moscow. I can destroy all of our enemies.
I'm not interested in destroying our enemies. And destroying cities is a great ways. Great ways. Cities represent wealth, and wealth is all that matters.
I'll get someone else to help me.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You won't get very far. Probably not even a mile from this house.
What do you mean?
Haven't you seen the papers? Or heard the radio tonight? The police and the FBI are looking for you.
Already?
Of course. That's why I think it would be wise to place yourself in my hands.
All you want is money. I have no money.
But once you have atomic power, we can get plenty of money. All the money in the world.
What do you mean?
It's very simple. Suppose you destroyed Metropolis, or at least a part of it. Yes, I think that would be an excellent idea. The world would then know our power. But instead of destroying London or Moscow or any other city, we only threaten to do so. Can you imagine them refusing to pay us anything we ask to spare them? Well, what do you say?
Fine. When do we start?
Wait. First you must pledge to follow my orders exactly. In everything. Agreed? I know that look in your eye, my friend. You think once you're the Atom Man again, you'll finish me off. As you did twice.
No, of course not.
Don't bother to lie. Let me warn you, I can protect myself even against your atomic power. Gito!
Yes, master.
If I know you, Gito, and I think I do, you, managed to overhear my conversation with Mr. Miller.
Yes, master.
What a rogue you are. I think that's why I like you. And am I wrong in assuming that you've already made inquiries of our people about the Scarlet Widow?
That is correct, master.
Is she, in Metropolis, Gito?
Yes, master.
Wonderful. Here, have a chocolate.
Thank you, Master.
Look, Sidney, let's not waste time. Let's get...
When money is involved, I never waste time. And when as much money as this is involved, money beyond counting, then I can act swiftly indeed.
What's that?
Oh, keep calm. It's only the clock. Midnight. But I'm sure the widow will be glad to see us. She loves money as much as I do. Bring my coat and hat, Cheeto, and order the car. We're going visiting.
His fat baby face beaming, Sidney removes his dressing gown and laboriously dons the greatcoat which his servant brings him. Then, panting, he waddles from the apartment with Jito and the eager Atom Man. Superman still lies unconscious in the Linwood Hospital 50 miles away. In the last hour he has been mumbling, incoherent, disjointed sentences. Near the bed in which he lies, their faces grave, Dr. Bruce, Chief of Staff, speaks quietly with Dr. Jacob Sims, a world-famous specialist, summoned from Metropolis.
Adams, no.
You too would say the case was hopeless then, Dr. Sims.
I'm afraid so. You've tried all the usual shock methods to bring him out of his coma?
Yes, but not even Benzedrine increased his heart action. If only his skin hadn't become impenetrable.
Yes, that's an amazing thing. The skin texture shows no sign of calcification. I can't understand it.
I can't either. But it has become impenetrable, so it's impossible to give him an injection. Poor chap, I doubt if he'll last the night. Well, it was very good of you to rush down here, Dr. Sims.
Not at all. I'm terribly sorry I can't be of more help, but it's a most interesting case.
I'll walk you to your car.
Is the verdict of the two doctors final? Is there no hope for Superman? As we continue now, the gaunt, ugly widow and her little cockney henchman Sniggers are in their hideout behind an innocent-appearing book and gift shop in Metropolis. It is just after midnight, and both of them, contemplating a huge pile of crisp banknotes, are in high spirits. Listen.
$2 million. And when Pepper Rouse gets here, we'll have $3 million. We're rich, widow. We're rich.
Yes, I'm a happy woman tonight, Sniggers. I've got money again. Power. And the only man who ever double-crossed me, der Teufel, is dead.
All on account of that little piece of kryptonite I copped out of the Metropolis Museum that night. Who'd ever have thought it'd bring us all this money?
I told you it would. I knew the Vulture and Papa Rausch and the Laugher would pay me almost anything I asked for the power to control Superman.
You was right, widow. You're always right. I never seen blokes fork up $1 million so fast as the Vulture and the Laugher when you give 'em their pieces of the blooming staff tonight. When's Pepper Ash coming for his?
He said he'd be here within the hour.
Good. Then we can hop it out of this dump. Where we go?
I was thinking of the Argentine. Fleischman writes there are lots of opportunities down there.
Hey, that sounds good to me, widow. We'll have a high old time with all that money.
Quiet. Someone's at the door.
Hey, must be Pepper Rausch. I'll let him in.
Wait. It may not be Rausch.
It must be. You said he was coming right away.
Not so loud, you...
Sure it's Pepper Rausch. Who else can it be?
How do I know? It might be the police.
The police?
Or some of our friends who found out we've got all this money. We are not taking any chances. Quick, help me get the money into this drawer.
All right. Nobody ain't going to take this haul away from us now, sir.
There. Be careful now. Walk quietly to the door.
All I'm saying is it better be nobody except Pepper Rausch.
Quiet. Stand to one side of the door. Who is it?
An old friend, widow. Sidney.
Sidney? How did he ever find us?
He can find anyone. I wonder what he wants.
Aren't you going to let me in, my dear?
Don't let him in. I don't trust that fat bloke.
I'm not afraid of him. Open the door.
No, Willie, he's smart. He's after the money. He'll steal it from us.
He won't steal it from me. Open the door.
Well, all right, but I don't like it.
Good evening, widow. Just as lovely as ever.
And you're as fat as ever, Sidney. Close the door, Sniggers.
Oh, yes. The ever-faithful Sniggers. Cheerio, Jeffy.
Hello, Sidney.
What brings you here so late at night?
It is late, isn't it? Well, I'll sit down if you don't mind. Oh. Now we get to business.
What business?
I'll come right to the point, my dear. I understand that you have some kryptonite.
How did you know?
How did I know? What a silly question, Sniggers. I know everything. You were about to say something, widow.
I did have it, Sidney. It's gone now.
Gone?
Yes, I sold it.
All of it? All 3 pieces?
That's right.
You're lying, my dear.
No, she ain't. We sold
Shut up, Sniggers. None of his business whom we sold them to.
Quite right. If you sold all 3 pieces. But I don't believe you did.
Why?
And because, as I understand it, kryptonite is Superman's mortal enemy. He's helpless in its presence. Yeah, of course you know this, or you wouldn't have stolen the fragment in the first place.
Who said we stole it?
Please tell this fool to be quiet.
Shut up, Sniggers. Go ahead, Sidney.
You knew that you could get a tremendous price for the kryptonite from Superman's enemies. If you had already disposed of all of it, as you say, you wouldn't be hiding in Metropolis with the police looking for you.
I won't beat around the bush with you, Sidney.
It wouldn't be healthy, my dear.
I'm not afraid of you, but we've done a lot of business together, so I'll tell you the truth. I've already sold 2 of the pieces of kryptonite. The 3rd and last piece is promised to a man who'll be here to get it, and pay me for it, tonight.
I knew all of it wasn't gone. I want that last piece, widow.
Impossible, Sidney. This man is too powerful to make an enemy of. I'm sorry.
No man is powerful when he's dead.
This bloke ain't dead. Hey.
I realize that, but it might be easily arranged. You see?
Now look here, Sidney. I don't want to get mixed up with any of your Gestapo tactics. I played a long and dangerous game, and I've won. Now I intend to leave the country, safely, with my money.
And that's right, it is.
My dear widow, I assure you that if you sell the kryptonite to me, you'll be taking no chances.
I'm not so sure.
But if you don't, I doubt that you'll leave this country at all.
What?
I've told you before, Sidney, you can't scare me.
I've no intention of scaring you, my dear. I only wish to point out that unless you sell me that last piece of kryptonite, the police will be informed of where you are. And if you leave here without my permission, they'll be kept informed of your movements until they catch up with you. I think you know me and my organization well enough to realize that even you can't hide from us long.
I'll fix you.
I wouldn't try to use that knife, Sniggers, if I were you. Apart from the fact that I'd shoot you first, my man Cheeto's outside.
Cheeto?
Exactly. Well, widow, you always think quickly. What do you say?
I think I'd enjoy killing you, Sidney.
But of course you're much too sensible to try.
Yes. All right. You win, on one condition.
What's that?
You'll pay me the same price I was to get from my other customer. $1 million.
Well, that's a great deal of money.
Take it or leave it.
Oh, I'll take it. Frankly, I expect to make much, much more than that with the stuff. Much, much more. Oh, well, I must be going. Just one thing more. The man you're expecting tonight. What's his name?
Papa Rausch. You know him?
Yes, of course. If you'll open the door, please, Sniggers, I'll leave and make the necessary arrangements for Papa Rausch.
Righto. I'll be glad to see the last of you, I will.
I'll return later for the kryptonite.
I'll be here.
I'm sure you will. Good night, widow. Good night, Sniggers.
Smiling pleasantly, Sidney waddles through the door to arrange a murder, and so get possession of the kryptonite which will once again transform Henry Miller into a deadly atom man. As Sidney, the fat man, was preparing to obtain possession of the last piece of kryptonite, Jimmy Olsen, who had returned to Metropolis, has just come back to the village of Linwood, summoned by Sheriff Simpson. And as we join them, the boy reporter and the sheriff are now entering the hospital where Superman had been brought from the beach where he had been found near death after his mighty battle with the Atom Man.
Oh, who is this man you want me to see, Sheriff?
Well, pretty sure this is the fellow you saw on the beach yesterday, Olsen, with Miller and Teufel. We're hoping you can identify him. Here, up these stairs.
Oh, but gosh, Sheriff, I didn't see his face.
Well, anyhow, seeing as how you was mixed up in it, might just be you know this fella. Doc Bruce and that specialist they had out from Metropolis say he won't last through the night. We'd like to know who he is so we can get in touch with his family.
Gee, the poor guy.
Yeah, this way. His room's right down the hall.
All right.
And if you can identify him, we might be able to find out what Miller and Teufel was up to, and where Miller went.
That would suit me fine. Miller's a dirty Nazi, and he's got to be caught.
Well, nobody's been able to catch him so far. Hold it. Here's the room.
Is he still unconscious?
Yeah. Ain't woke up since they dug him out of that hole in the sand. Come on, he's in that bed there. What's that?
Oh, what's the matter? Hey, there's nobody in this bed.
No, he's gone.
Gone where?
How do I know? He was right in that bed an hour ago. He was unconscious, in a coma. And now he's gone.
Holy smokes. Doctor, nurse, somebody come quick. Dr. Bruce, nurse.
Startled, Jimmy Olsen rushes out into the hospital corridor, leaving Sheriff Simpson to stare incredulously at the empty bed in which only an hour ago Superman lay in a coma, his life despaired of by the physicians. What has happened? Where is the dazed and stricken Man of Steel? Fellows and girls, our story has taken a strange new twist. Tomorrow's episode is dramatic and surprising, so don't fail to be with us when we learn the mysterious fate of Superman and find out if Sidney, the sinister fat man, succeeded in obtaining the last piece of kryptonite for Henry Miller. Meanwhile, Jimmy Olsen had been summoned to a small country hospital where the unconscious Superman, his identity unknown, had been given only a few hours to live. But when Jimmy was led into the room in the hope that he could identify the dying man, Superman had disappeared. As we continue the next morning, Jimmy has returned to Metropolis and is in the office of Editor Perry White at the Daily Planet. Listen.
When I got into the room, Mr. White, the man, whoever he was gone. They looked all over the hospital for him and all through the grounds, but they couldn't find him.
I thought you said he was unconscious, in a coma.
Well, he was. They didn't expect him to live until morning. So how could he just get up and walk out of the hospital?
He couldn't. Somebody must have carried him out.
Oh, but they couldn't know without being seen. The head nurse's desk is right near the door, and somebody was on duty there all the time.
Well, maybe they took him out through the window. Didn't anybody think of that?
Well, sure, but the room is on the 3rd floor, and the fire escape is at the other end of the building.
Well, they still make ladders, don't they?
Huh? Well, sure they do, but who'd go to all that trouble, and why?
Henry Miller, of course, or somebody working with him. They found out the fellow wasn't dead, and they were afraid he'd tell who tried to kill him, and maybe what Miller and Teufel were up to, so they took him away.
Oh, the poor guy. Miller will certainly finish him this time. Gosh, when I think of those green sparks shooting out of his hand...
Oh, stop with those green sparks. It was lightning you saw. Freak storm.
No, it wasn't, Chief. I mean, Mr. White.
Of course it was. Oh, boy, how I'd like to get my hands on that Miller. Palming himself off as an American war veteran. Getting me to give him a job, and all the time he was a dirty Nazi.
What I don't understand is why he took me out to that beach cottage. I never did anything to him. Gosh, Mr. Ken and I thought he was a nice guy.
Well, that reminds me. Kent fancies himself a great detective. Maybe he can find out what this is all about. Where is he?
Huh? Oh, I don't know. I called his apartment twice this morning. No answer.
Yeah, and it's after 10 o'clock. He's probably off on his own hook again. And if he is, he's through this time for good. I warned him.
Well, he might have gone to see his doctor. He was sick yesterday morning, you know.
Huh? Oh, yes, I forgot. Well, he ought to be along soon, then. Incidentally, remind me to tell him that John Millison wants him to call. He says it's very important.
Want me to answer?
I am still able to answer my own phone, thank you. Hello? Perry White speak. Oh, hello, Doc. Hello. No, I haven't forgotten, but Ken hasn't been in yet. Yes, I know he isn't at his apartment, and he'll probably be in soon. It's payday, and he usually condescends to drop in then. You sure I can't help you? I see. Well, all right, I'll make sure he calls you the moment he comes in. You're welcome. Goodbye. Millison again. I wonder what he's so all-fired eager to get hold of Kent for.
Oh, is that Dr. John Millison, the big scientist?
Yes. He says he must talk to Kent at once.
I just remembered. Mr. Kent sent me over to his laboratory with something a few weeks ago.
Huh? With what?
Oh, I don't know what it was. It seemed to be just a sliver of green metal, but burned when you held it in your hands. It was in a flower pot in the Scarlet Widow's apartment.
I see. Now, of course, Kent wouldn't tell me about it. I'm only his editor. I'm not supposed to know what stories he's working on until he decides to take me into his confidence. I will...
Oh, here's Mr. Kent now.
Well, it's about time. What's that outfit you've got on, Kent?
Well, what's the idea of the overalls, Mr. Kent?
Well, why don't you answer? What are you standing there for? Come in.
Yes, all right.
Well, come on, explain yourself. Where have you been? And what in tarnation is the idea of dressing up in those dirty overalls? Kent, what's the matter? Grab him, Olsen. He's going to fall.
I've got him. Here, sit down in this chair, Mr. Kent. Gosh, what's the matter? What happened?
I don't know. Since...
You don't know. Olsen, get him a glass of water.
Okay.
Never mind. Wait, there's water here in my tub.
What do you mean you don't know, Mr. Kent? Were you in an accident or something?
Accident? Yes. No.
Yes,
Don't bother him yet. Don't bother him. Here, Kent, drink this.
Oh. Thanks.
Do you feel any better now?
Yeah. I feel strange.
Strange? Well, how do you mean?
I'm weak. I'm tired. I've been walking. Walking?
Walking where?
I don't know. Just walking. I couldn't get myself Up in the air.
Huh?
Hey, he's out of his mind. We've got to find out what happened to him. Now, come on, Kent. Try to pull yourself together. What happened to you? Where did you get those overalls?
From a farmer.
Farmer?
What farmer?
I met him on the road. He gave me a ride. He was a nice man. I had on pajamas. He gave me these overalls.
You were on a road somewhere in your pajamas?
Good Godfrey, why?
I don't know. I can't remember anything after fight.
What? Oh, so that's it. He was in a fight and somebody beat his brains out. He ought to know better. He can't fight. Wait a minute. Couldn't have been in a fight. There isn't a mark on him.
Well, that's right. Gosh, what is wrong with him, Chief?
He's having a nervous breakdown, that's what. Lois was right. Superman should have left him in that rest home.
Yes, Superman.
What about Superman?
Had to come here and tell you.
You have to tell us what?
Atom Man.
Atom Man?
Yes. Miller. I must stop.
Eh? Are you talking about Henry Miller?
Yes. He's Atom Man. Box on his throat. Power.
He's nutty as a squirrel. Olson, call up.
I know what he means. He means Miller's the Atom Man.
What? Now, look here, Olson. Don't you go crazy, too.
That must be it. Those sparks shooting out of Miller's hands. And he was a Nazi, and he was with Teufel. And before Teufel escaped to Germany with the kryptonite, he said he was going to create an Atom Man to destroy Superman. Well, that was why Mr. Kent was so worried. Don't you remember?
Yes, I remember all right. Kent wouldn't listen to me, and he worried himself into a nervous breakdown. An Atom Man destroying Superman. I've heard enough of that nonsense from Kent. Now, I don't want to hear any more of it from you.
But
I said stop it. Well, it's out of his mind, and now you want to drive me batty, too.
But he just said Henry Miller was the Atom Man.
Does he act like he knows what he's talking about? He must have seen a headline about Miller being on that beach with Teufel, and so now he thinks that Miller is an Atom Man. I'm going to take him to my own doctor right now, and then maybe I'll take him to Florida. If he listened to me, he'd gone there last week.
There's a box on his throat.
Yes.
Controls.
Sure. Now, come on, Kent. Up on your feet, boy. You come with me, and I'll take care of you.
All right.
Answer the phone, Olson. And if it's for me, say I'm out. Don't know when I'll be back. Let Lois and Burroughs handle things.
Okay. Mr. White's office. Jim Olson speaking.
You come along, Kent. I'm here now, and you'll be all right.
Oh, hello, Dr. Millison. Mr. Kent? Oh, no, he was in, but he just went out again. He's sick. But he couldn't call you, Dr. Millison. Do I know how to get in touch with Superman? Are you kidding? Excuse me, of course I don't. Yes, I'll tell Mr. Kent as soon as I see him again. Okay, bye. Asking me if I can get in touch with Superman. Huh. Some people must think he works here or something.
Replacing the phone, Jimmy Olsen looks anxiously after the dazed, staggering Clark Kent, who is being led away by Perry White. Why is Dr. Millison, the famous scientist who was unable to help Superman defend himself against the power of the kryptonite, now so eager to contact him? Shortly after the dazed Superman in his guise of Clark Kent was led from the Daily Planet by his anxious editor, Sidney, the sinister fat man, wedged himself into a phone booth in a drugstore and made a call.
Hello, this is Sidney. Put him on the phone.
Hello, this is Miller.
Quiet. I know who you are.
Oh, yeah, listen, did you get the...
Stop it. Haven't you any sense? Of course I got it.
Good, that's wonderful.
Our party was cautious, so it took longer than I expected. But everything's arranged. Now pay attention. Don't interrupt. Gito knows where to take you. You'll, fix your hair and your clothes as he directs before you leave. You understand?
Yes. Where are we going to...
I said don't interrupt. You, have the, formula written down.
Yes.
We'll bring it with you. We'll find out if it works. I'll meet you. That's all. Boots are too small.
Extricating himself with difficulty from the phone booth, Sidney waddles through the crowded drugstore to the street, his moonlike face showing no sign of the greedy eagerness in his fat body. For in his overcoat pocket, wrapped in lead foil and clutched tightly in his pudgy hand, is a small piece of green glowing radioactive kryptonite, the deadly element which, when dissolved and injected into Henry Miller's blood, will transform him once more into an atomic monster, able to destroy anything in his path. What will happen? Will Miller's formula, which he says he received from his father, dissolve the kryptonite? And what of Superman escaping death by only a miracle, and now dazed and helpless? As we continue now, Sidney, Miller, and a German chemist named Joseph Bush are in a laboratory in the attic of a Metropolis bungalow. Suspended over a Bunsen burner is a quart beaker, in which a colorless liquid boils violently and gives off cloudy fumes. At the bottom of the beaker is a mass of green glowing powder. Bush, the chemist, is speaking.
You are sure you gave me the right formula, Herr Miller?
Positive. 6 parts of hydrofluoride to 1.5 parts of aqua regia.
You have not forgotten anything?
Nope. It's the same formula my father worked out in Germany. I was there.
And it dissolves the kryptonite,
How else do you think it could have been injected into my blood? He ground it into a powder just as you did, then put it into a beaker with the hydrofluoride and aqua regia.
Well, why are you asking all these questions, Bush?
Because, Sidney, you can see for yourself. The kryptonite is not dissolving.
I don't understand it.
I do. Obviously, you didn't give Bush the right formula.
But I did, Sidney.
Then why doesn't it work?
I don't know.
You don't know. You're a fool, Miller. And I, for the first time in my life, have been a fool, too. Do you realize I paid the Scarlet Widow $1 million for that spoonful of green powder?
$1 million?
Yes. I had to get rid of Papa Rausch besides, to keep him from getting it.
If you had asked me first, Mynheer, I would have advised against it. The whole idea is fantastic. To create a human atom man.
What do you mean, fantastic? Teufel did it with me, and I killed Superman with my atomic power.
That I do not believe.
I did, I tell you.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Boy's telling the truth, Bush. I happen to know that Teufel did inject kryptonite into his veins, and it did give him atomic power.
It is difficult to believe.
Never mind what you believe. Your job is to dissolve that stuff. Now go ahead and do it.
But the formula is wrong.
It is not. You're a stupid fool, Bush. Schweinhund, I tell you.
Stop it, both of you. Get to work, Bush. Dissolve that kryptonite.
You do not seem to understand. To find the formula for dissolving such a hard element as this, and one so complex, takes years.
Years?
Yeah. And even then it may fail.
It had better not fail. I don't intend to lose my hard-earned money. Miller, you said you were sure of your father's formula.
Positive.
Then give it to Bush. Correctly. Or a policeman will find you in a dark alley tomorrow morning. With one of Gito's sacrificial knives in your back. Now get busy.
What's that?
It's a ventilator fan, carrying the fumes away. It still does not dissolve. Miller, try to remember. There must have been some other agent, some catalyst with the acids.
No, I can't remember any.
There must have been. Try to remember. Did your father perhaps add acetone?
No.
Or ethyl iodine, or molybdenum?
He tried molybdenum first, but it didn't work.
Perhaps copper chromite then?
No.
Or sulfurochloride?
He tried that too, but...
Phosphorus oxychloride?
No.
Keep trying, Bush. Keep trying. Maybe he'll remember.
What is the use? There are 10,000 chemicals which might have been used. But it is clear this young fool does not remember.
Wait a minute.
What?
I just remembered. I think my father did use another chemical.
Yeah? What?
Quickly, what was it?
I'm trying to think. Wait a minute. It seems to me that he did something to the powder before he put it into the beaker with the hydrofluoride. Yes, he did.
What did he do? What?
Wait a minute. It was the night he told Teufel and me that he finally had the right formula. Teufel asked him what it was, and he said 6 parts hydrofluoride, 1.5 parts aqua regia.
That we know.
Quiet. Go on.
Teufel got terribly excited and started to measure out the acids. My father told me to bring him the teapot. I knew he was very tired. He'd been working night and day for almost a week. I brought the pot to the slab of stone he was using for a table, and then went to the other end of the cave for the hot water kettle.
What is this talk of teapots and kettles? Tell us.
I'm coming to it. Wait. When I got back with the kettle of water, my father waved it away. He was just putting the teapot down, and I remember noticing that the kryptonite powder in the mortar was wet, and that it hissed and gave out sparks. I didn't think anything about it at the time. I was excited and tired, too. But now I think he poured the tea brew on the powder.
What? Tea brew?
Yes, it must have been that. He had the pot in his hand, and Teufel had the acid several feet away where my father had rigged up a coal oil burner.
You think it could have been the tea, Bush?
In tea, there's only tannic acid.
Could that do it?
Of course not.
It must have been the tea.
Such stupid, childish talk.
Confound you, Bush!
Look here, Bush. We've got nothing to lose except my $1 million, and I don't intend to lose that. Now, try the tea.
What? It is a waste of time, an insult to my intelligence.
I said, try it.
All right. I will have to empty the acid into another beaker. Miller, go down to the kitchen and ask my wife for the teapot.
Okay, and I'll bet it works.
You'd better pray that it does.
It's a waste of time. Nothing else.
Time is less valuable than money. Time is. And if it works, I'll have all the money I want. All the money in the world. Think of it, Bush.
How much do you think the Bank of England would pay not to have London blown into dust? How much do you think they'll pay to have me spare 'em?
It's impossible. Eric, even if this kryptonite can be dissolved, once it is injected into Miller's system, he will die.
He didn't die the last time, and he's begging to take the chance again, for the glory of the fatherland.
I've got the teapot.
Bring it here.
There you are.
I know this is senseless, but since you wish it... So.
See how it hisses and sparks.
Right, it does.
Wait. The powder is not yet dissolved.
Pour in the hydrofluoride and aqua regia.
That is what I am doing.
Anything happening yet?
Not yet. Do not stand so close. These fumes are very dangerous. Say, Himmel.
What is it?
The powder. Yeah. It is actually beginning to dissolve.
It is?
Yeah. See how it is slowly disappearing. How the liquid becomes a deeper and deeper green. This is amazing.
Didn't I tell you? You called me a fool. You said I was stupid. Now what do you say? What?
His eyes blazing with triumph, Henry Miller watches the kryptonite powder slowly dissolve in the hissing, boiling acid. As Henry Miller, Sidney, and their Nazi chemist succeed at last in dissolving the kryptonite, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, is high above the city in a transport plane with Editor Perry White. The Man of Steel's mind is still numb and dazed from his battle with the Atom Man, and he mumbles strangely, almost incoherently.
Yes, Sir Kent, a few weeks in Florida will make you as good as new again. The doctor agreed with me. All you need is some rest and sunshine and freedom from worry.
Must stop Miller. Got to stop him.
Now, just get Miller off your mind.
Can't.
He's another dirty Nazi, that's all. The police will take care of him.
Oh, no, they can't. Miller is the Atom Man.
Now, forget Miller, I tell you. Just concentrate on getting well.
But we've...
Yes, sir, we're going to have a fine time. I needed a little vacation, too.
But
we'll sun ourselves on the beach and get in some good deep-sea fishing.
Listen, there's a box on his throat. That box controls his power.
What box on what throat?
Miller.
No, that again. Now listen to me, Kent.
Oh,
For your own good, you've got to forget about Miller and everything else.
Wait.
Just think about getting a lot of sunshine and rest.
But only I know. Only I can stop him from destroying. Only I must get that box before he sees me.
Kent, will you stop it?
Only I... Oh, but there's something wrong with me. I have no strength. It's hard to think. Only I can stop it. Only I...
Weak and dazed, Clark Kent, who is Superman, repeats the same phrase over and over, trying vainly to recapture his former strength, while the plane speeds him farther and farther from Metropolis, soon to be threatened by Henry Miller and the sinister Sidney. What will happen? Only Superman knows the menace of Henry Miller and the secret of his power. But Superman is helpless now. Fellows and girls, there are thrills and excitement ahead for you in tomorrow's episode, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, and follow the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.